Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and everyone out there, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you're having a great Friday, everything's going well, and you are ready for some Computer America. Because today we have a fan favorite, and that is, of course, Ralph Bond. He is our science and tech trends correspondent, and he's here to talk about all the latest and greatest things in technology. Some of them can be scary. When you see a robot do a backflip, you start to worry about your safety. And then at the same time, a lot of them are uplifting or good or just, what's happening in high technology. It's a lot of fun. So, but before we get started with that, first things first, computeramerica.com. That will have everything, including the show notes for today, which will have a link to everything, including our guest website, any articles that we do, any videos that we show, everything and anything will be there. While you're there, check out of course, social media links. We have the live video feed if you want to watch us and not just listen. Gonna be helpful today because Ralph puts a lot of effort into making these show notes, and if you'd like to follow along as we kind of do it, hey, it's a great opportunity to do that. But everyone on the radio, everyone on the podcast, you are people too, and we love you for that. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead, just bring on our guest today. And as I said before, he is a regular correspondent here on the program. Been here for probably longer than I have, if memory serves correctly. And hey, we're happy to have him on. So Ralph, welcome back onto Computer America. How you doing?
Hey, it's great to be with you. Happy Friday to everybody and happy spring. Today was the first day I went in my backyard to do some gardening without a jacket on.
Wow.
That was a momentous spring moment.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, people in the Midwest were getting snowstorms, but
oh yeah.
But yeah, a lot of other people, and we were out on the town yesterday. We had to run a Best of Computer America if anyone out there was listening. But Best of Computer America. So we were out in the town. Man, it's just like the first nice day. It was like 72, sunny, slight breeze.
Wow.
And it's like the first nice day, and everyone just cranked up the lawnmower. Everyone was mowing their lawn. And I was like, yeah, I get it, I guess. But, I mean, man, I don't know. Gardening and upkeep seem to be like the first thing people want to do as soon as it turns nice. So good on them. Yeah. Good on them. So, Ralph, welcome back on the show. And before we get started, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and, just kind of tell us what brings you onto Computer America.
Well, sure. And if you have the show notes, and if you don't, please come out to the show's website, get those show notes. I have a link to my personal website, which will give you all the information about my background. But in a nutshell, real quick, many years ago, my brother-in-law, Chuck, showed me an Apple computer. And we're talking really early Apple computer that had this thing called, word processing. And I was a college student at the time, and this was just enlightening. The idea that I didn't have to have a typewriter, that I could correct things on a screen before printing it, was just revolutionary. So I got the personal computer bug from that. And when I was finishing up my master's degree in history and architecture and art history degree at Cal State Long Beach, I asked the counselor, hey, this computer stuff, there's something going on here. I want in. And he said, you're in luck because they're desperately looking for tech writers. So to speed up the story here, I got a job with a little outfit in Orange County called Computer Automation, was a tech writer for them, then got recruited by a PR advertising agency that specialized in technology. Then I got recruited into Rockwell Semiconductors, worked for Gil Amelio, who was at one point the president of Apple, if you may know your Apple history. And then I got a number of other agency jobs, then wound up transferring up to Oregon with Intel Corporation, was with them almost 14 years, and then finished up my career 10 and a half years, roughly speaking, with Autodesk, the computer aided design company. So I've been blessed with an amazing career in high tech. And what I love to do for the show is bring uplifting, positive science development stories that are technology and science, and sometimes medical science things too as well. So that's it in a nutshell.
Perfect summary. And I will say that because you do kind of blend medical technology here as well, this is something that so we have a lot of guests on the show, a lot of CEO, product managers, people like that.
Right.
And I won't lie. Like after they come on, they do their bit. We of course archive it, and then I really don't hear from them again until we reach out 6 months, a year later, and say, "Hey, what's new? Would you like to come on?" I've been receiving correspondence with one guest that we had on. I don't recall the company that he was representing off the top of my head, but I had to. I don't want to say I blocked him because I've just been ignoring him. He's been sending me messages on Skype because that's how we kind of connected for the interview. And it's every time it's the dangers of 5G and the possible carcinogenic properties of 5G.
Ooh.
There is nothing to back that up. I want to make that clear. That's why I've been ignoring them. But 5G is this thing that so many people are embracing, and they're like, I can't wait for it to finally make it to me. But at the same time, there's I don't know. I've just run into it. There's a fringe element to it that is afraid of 5G for some reason. So I think any kind of coverage that we can give to 5G, any kind of clarity we can give to 5G is going to be good. So that's my little introduction for story number one.
Well, yes, and a parallel or corollary to that might be the belief that the noise generated by wind turbines can cause cancer. So these ideas get out there. Sometimes people aren't. It's not malicious. They just pick up on this stuff and they repeat it and transmit it, and it just gets out there in the wild, so to speak. So yeah, you always have to be careful about this kind of stuff, but at the same time, be respectful of, hey, is there something to be investigated when someone claims there's a health hazard with the technology.
And just, hey, if we're just going to deviate all over the place before we get started, I will say that, there was a guest that kind of proposed us to be on the show, and it has to do with eyesight and, computer screens and computer monitors. I've been using a computer monitor since I was like 3 or 4, playing my first video game, and I've develop bad eyesight. Like the rate at nearsightedness has taken off since the release of digital screens and computers and things like that. There's something there. So there's more research to be done about the health impact of technology. It's just that, like you said, with the wind turbines, and I think here with 5G, there are real tangible things to investigate. And then 5G is probably just going to be a nice boost to productivity. I don't think there's going to be anything health hazard about this. So I'm sorry, but yeah, here we go. Story number one.
A great setup for story number one. And by the way, friends, again, get those show notes, really important.
For sure.
And as we jokingly say at the beginning of every time I come on the show, we're not probably going to get through all, in this case, 9 stories I gathered, but think of it as fun. Homework for you to read the stories if we don't get a chance to cover them today. So story number one comes from CNET, written by Roger Cheng. And the headline is, and this is what relates to what Ben was leading us up to, biggest 5G breakthrough may be this harmless little plastic strip. Ericsson is working on an antenna that could be placed under carpets or hung on walls. Think coverage everywhere. And I learned a lot about this issue of coverage for 5G from this article. And we have the link, of course, the picture, and Ben showing that to you on the screen if you're following along with us on a live feed. So it starts off, 5G is going to change your life. But first, it actually needs to get to you. And that is the key, folks. Though 5G networks are starting to go live, the deployments remain limited. That's because many of the carriers, including Verizon and AT&T, are employing super high frequency airways through something called millimeter wave spectrum, which offers a fat data pipe for insane speeds, but has limited range. Another of its big issues is an inability to get through walls. Even a leaf could theoretically disrupt the service. So that was very educational for me. I didn't quite fully understand the challenges of transmitting this technology.
And for anyone out there watching the video portion, I'm trying to find it. Although my science is so off. Let's see. It's high frequency, I think, is what I'm looking for here, and it's high frequency waves. Anyone watching the video portion, we're gonna throw that. Here we go. This picture up on the screen, and here we go. But for everyone else out there, we're just going to kind of explain it, and let's go ahead and do this. So
there you go.
So here's a picture, and so when they say a fat data pipe, think of like these waves, and you can transmit data ones and zeros over, and you see how dense it is, as opposed to something like, let's say, more traditional, like low frequency, much more energy, kind of going through it, much more data that you can kind of pipe through it. But at the same time, think of the leaf, like you mentioned, think of walls, a lot more distortion, even through smaller, even through smaller surfaces. So like traditionally, longer range, slower data, but it would actually get to your phone. Now 5G, not so much, a lot more data, but hey, like you said, anything can block it. So wanted to, make that very clear.
Yeah, so think of it like the teeth of a comb. There's so many more tines. It's so much more granular. I'm trying to find the right words. To your point, Ben, that it becomes, you have to have the listening capability. The receiver part of it has to be so much more articulate, or so much more sensitive, I guess could be the word, to discern the increased amount of data in the compact waveforms that you're showing here. That's an excellent graphic. That's very helpful.
Right. So so please continue on with and so that's why coverage is hard. And now I guess, hey, I'm glad someone is working on this with these antennas.
There you go. That sets it up perfectly for the next paragraph in the story. Enter a seemingly innocuous strip of plastic found in the Mobile World Congress. That was a big trade show, international show. The story, by the way, was posted on the 2nd of March, by the way, folks. So enter a seemingly innocuous strip of plastic found in the Mobile World Congress booth of Ericsson, the Swedish supplier of telecom equipment. The strip contains printed circuit boards and tiny antennas able to pick up and send, so it's a transceiver, pick up and send 5G data. Along the walls at one of Ericsson's demos, a strip was embedded behind a thin piece of wallpaper or hidden by a thin plastic housing. Another strip was laid under a long train of carpet that was rolled up. And it's kind of funny what they did as a demo. So there's a quote here. This is how easy your network rollout will be. Paul Frenger, a researcher at Ericsson, said as he placed the roll on the floor and kicked it open, meaning to say that the tape that we're talking about was rolled up in a little red carpet, right? And he kicks it out to roll it out. And it was jokingly calling this the rollout of this technology, right? He liked the joke so much, I heard him say it again a few minutes later. So this is the reporter, of course, talking about his visit to the booth. Goes on to say, this little strip could have big implications for how 5G might get deployed. Carriers are still struggling with how to deal with the limitations of millimeter wave spectrum, which is why many are opting to use lower frequency, slower but broader spectrum. This goes right to your point, Ben, in your graphic you shared. The huge number of small cells, miniature cellular towers required to create a network is another obstacle, since many cities don't want that many eyesores in their community. So see, this is a wonderful article, sets up the challenges, right, for deployment of this. Right. It's one of the things I really liked about this article. Goes on to say AT&T Chief Technology Officer, Andre Fuchs, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, Fuetsch, in an interview with CNET at the Mobile World Congress, referred to its 5G deployments as small pockets. That's the many deployed little miniature cellular towers, right? Goes on to say, but the ease with which you could hang up or roll out these strips, or even temporarily install them at an outdoor venue, that's interesting, could turbocharge the deployment of 5G by offering better coverage in little corners, by offering a simpler, easier method for stringing up antennas that are compatible with millimeter wave spectrum or even mid-band frequencies. The strip could let users get the maximum benefit of 5G. Loved this little article.
Yeah,
mainly because it educated me about the challenges of 5G deployment.
It's something that that they're definitely struggling with, and emphasis on that, because really and right now I'm trying to find how broad of a reach a 5G tower would have, because right now you could drive through the countryside, or you could see a cell tower here and there. They're pretty sparse, but I think for 5G, I don't think it'd be as common as, like, let's say a telephone or an electric pole, but it would probably be every couple of blocks you would have another cell tower. And they're right, just the visual pollution of that. So I like the idea that they kind of move the onus onto the end user. And if they can make it, like, really, even to his joke kind of, but if they could sell, like, I don't know, drapes that were 5G connected, or carpets, just something that was very, very subtle, but at the same time give, like, the speeds of 5G are so great that I think and this is something that I just think is going to happen. Right now everyone has a wired connection in their home with a router, and they have Wi-Fi that they set up. 5G is so is so capable to handle 10 gigabytes per second that if this were available in people's homes, they would probably ditch their cable in the ground to their home and only use cell data, because it's not limited, it's not scarce, it's huge throughput, and it's all wireless. Like, it's going to be a really big thing. It's just how to get it into people's homes.
Exactly right. And one application, how about putting these strips behind a picture that you have on the wall? Just flip the picture over, put the strip on, put the picture back on the wall. Bingo.
Yeah, it really wouldn't take much. And for the benefits, I'm looking forward to it. And I don't know, 5G isn't here yet, but you can see where the industry is really, really trying to get it going.
Yes.
So that should be obvious and great. I mean, for everyone out there who's worried about data plans, if you're connected to a 5G data stream, like, you could burn through, like, let's say, I think our family share plan was, like, I think we paid for like 12 gigs on our current plan. You could probably burn through 12 gigs in like a matter of less than a minute if you were connected to 5G. So they're going to raise the limits. If you're connected to 5G, they'll probably let you have unlimited data, truly and truly. So yeah, I can't wait for it to happen. It's just, it has to happen. So there you go.
Yeah, lots to think about just from that first story.
For sure.
All right. So story number two.
This
takes us into medical technology, which is one of my favorite areas. But first of all, this comes from a website I just got to know, and I love the name of this outlet, Mental Floss. Not dental floss, mental floss. Don't you love it? Yeah. A story by Jake Rosen, and the headline is, "This wireless stethoscope lets you listen in on nature." This will make sense when we get into the story here. And let's get into it. It says, if you've ever been envious of your physician's ability to grab a stethoscope and get oral information about the heart or a fetus in the womb, the STEMoscope, that's STEMOSCOPE, STEMoscope, might be music to your ears. The wireless electronic stethoscope, which is currently enjoying a successful launch on Kickstarter. Now, this story was posted a little over a month ago on the 1st of March, allows users to position a 1.5-inch device up against the body. A Bluetooth signal delivers data to your phone, where you can listen with a set of headphones. The app also allows you to record the signal for playback at a later date. Once again, Ben, another example of creative use of smartphone and Bluetooth, right? I mean, how many products and services and ideas have come out of just that combination, smartphone and Bluetooth? Blows my mind. The STEMoscope isn't limited to informal heart or lung examinations, and obviously, it's no substitute for professional medical attention. Of course not. Part of the appeal of the device is having the ability to eavesdrop on sounds in the world around us. Ooh, this could be interesting or scary, maybe. I love this part. Get a load of this, Ben. Trees, for example, make detectable noises as their hydration levels change. What?
Tree doctor. Okay.
I love it. Yeah, I can just imagine there'll be websites now with tree noise recordings, right? Some pet owners may find useful to assess, a dog or cat's heart rate. Maybe. It might also be possible to use as an aid in safe cracking. Obviously, a tongue-in-cheek little joke here. I hope. We'll leave that to the experts, the author says. The Stethoscope is available for a $29 pledge, with delivery expected in May, so coming up. And I have the link in the show notes here to the Kickstarter site for the product and development in question. So I just thought this was clever. Once again, wonderful example of Bluetooth and smartphone teaming up again with a clever idea.
Yeah, just check out the Kickstarter there.
Yeah,
they were only looking for $3,000. Like that's not a lot of money that they were looking for. And of course, they ended up raising $126,000.
Isn't that something?
Thousands of people went and backed this project. I hope that everyone gets their device. But I'm trying to think how this would work, and it seems like someone just kind of made a nice app, and it's it's kind of a microphone on like a hardware solution, and it just kind of rebroadcasts to wherever you go. So it doesn't seem that complicated. I guess that's why it's only $29, but very, very interesting idea. And I like the application. You're right.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, the whole pet thing, with the pet heart and the pet health, we have a dog here that was recently diagnosed with a heart murmur. So something like this would be pretty helpful, to be able to, just kind of hear that for ourselves. But
yeah, and another thought comes to mind too. A classic case would be the paramedics, the first responders. True. What if, I don't know if this would be helpful, but how they're always communicating with the ER team as they're bringing somebody in, right? Would it be helpful if they could real-time live transmit the heartbeat or something, or the sounds of the heart using this kind of a product? I don't know.
I don't have the name off the top of my head of the company that came on the show, but they started a network of people that if you joined, it was, think of it kind of like Facebook, but if you were anywhere where someone hit a button on their phone through this application, said, hey, we need medical attention, you could take your phone over there, you could go and you could give whatever assistance you could, be it CPR, just calling 911. Wow. Think of it like a medical network that, it was kind of crowdsourced. If people, cool. Let's say you just kept this in your car, or you just, kind of kept it as you went out, and you were able to go to someone and transmit the data from the hearts and, log it in an app and send it to the doctors or first responders. Time is of the essence of this kind of thing. Let's say it's a heart attack or something. Hey, any information is good information, and just spitballing here, but just more data, more information is definitely good. And this seems a very easy way to get that information. So.
And I think you made another good point I want to emphasize again, or re-amplify, and that is no pun intended, by the way, is that it's a question of not so much difficult technology, because it probably is a relatively simple piece of mechanics, but the idea. Somebody thought, wait a minute, what if I put this together with this, using a smartphone, using the Bluetooth? That's the thing that I just admire so much about this kind of story and this kind of product.
Right, and did it pretty effective and cheaply and effectively. So definitely enjoy that. This next one, this is an application that I thought it was a lamp, but I've never seen a lamp eat an apple. So what is this?
You thought it was a melted lamp from IKEA or something like that. Anyway, this is fun. We're going to have several robotics related stories in today's show. This is the first one. So this is from The Verge. It's a story by James Vincent. I've covered his stories before in the past. Great writer. The title is "This Robot Gripper Looks Like a Wilted Flower, but it can lift 100 times its own weight." Now, actually, what you're going to find out, the bit about ability to lift 100 times its own weight is great, but really it's gripping capabilities in terms of delicacy and so forth. That's the key. But anyway, let's get into the story. If you've got the show notes, you're seeing the picture. Ben is getting you out to the links and all that good stuff. Let's dive into this one, because I thought this was just terrific. And then we've got a video you can see, all kinds of good stuff. So here we go into the story. If someone asked you to imagine a robot, says Daniela Rus, R-U-S, a professor at MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, CSAIL, you'd probably think of a human-shaped bot or some heavy-duty industrial robot arm. But she says, here's a quote, "But for me, I would like to see a change," she tells The Verge, in other words, the magazine that wrote this story. The latest work from her team at MIT is a perfect example. It's a robot gripper that's designed to pick up objects, but its looks are unconventional to say the least. Visually, it has more in common with a rubber tulip or a deflated balloon than a sci-fi robot hand.
That's a good description.
It is, and believe me, this is my commentary. Get ready, because this has really some profoundly interesting possibilities, and it's such a different way of going after the idea, how can a robot arm grab something and pick it up, right? Back to the story. But it's this unique look that makes the gripper so potentially useful. Underneath its rubber skin is an origami skeleton that's shaped like a starfish. As gas is pumped in and out of the gripper's airtight enclosure, the whole device opens and closes like a flower. This allows the device to pick up delicate objects, ding, 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 delicate objects without harming them, while still maintaining a strong enough grip to lift 100 times its own weight. There's the killer sentence there, right, folks? This has been the problem or challenge with robotic hands and arms. The ability to deal with delicate items like picking up an egg, for example, right?
Yeah, because not everything is a car door. So
yeah, exactly. And if you want to expand the abilities of robotic arms and hands to do things beyond, like you say, the blunt metal, door, pick up door, put door over here, you've got to have a different way of approaching the gripping, grabbing, and holding. And that's what these folks at MIT have done. Salute to MIT again. Here's another quote from Russ, the leader of the team. "By combining this foldable skeleton with the soft exterior, we get the best of both worlds. I'm excited about using such a robot hand to start grasping groceries, for example." I can also think of a lot of medical possibilities here too, folks. Soft robot grippers like this aren't new. Over the past decade, the field has experienced a boom, with engineers looking to take advantage of soft machines of all shapes and sizes. One natural use case is logistics, handling items in warehouses and factories. Although much of this work has been automated, humans are still widely employed by companies like Amazon to pick up and sort individual items, packing them into bags and boxes. This is because traditional robot grippers made of metal and hard plastic struggle with delicate items and irregular shapes. That's another point, delicate and irregular, right? The old cliche of an out-of-control killer robot chanting "crush, destroy" isn't too far off here. Your average factory robot today couldn't unpack your shopping without turning eggs into omelets and oranges into orange juice. You gotta love that. Oh, it's great. And if we have time here, I think we do a couple more minutes. Soft robot grippers look like the best solution to this problem, and the past few years have seen an explosion in this technology. Labs like CSAIL, as well as commercial companies like Right Hand Robotics, click that link, that's a really interesting company, have all gotten in on the action, developing everything from inflatable robot hands to bean bag-like grippers to modules shaped like octopus tentacles. This is so cool. Russ says her new gripper is a better solution than any previous design, though. Its tulip shape means it can approach objects from a variety of angles, ding, 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 as opposed to a hand gripper, which usually has to come at an object from the side. And because of its origami skeleton, which Russ and her team developed in 2017, this has been in development for a few years, right? It has the strength as well as flexibility. As to why such devices haven't been adopted more widely yet, Russ says that's because commercial solutions have yet to catch up with the innovations coming out of the lab. Another reason might be institutional inertia. Once companies have invested in expensive equipment, replacing it is not an easy decision, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if updating your hardware might mean rearranging your entire workflow. And to conclude here, there's no doubt that the field of soft robotics continues to spit out bizarre and potentially useful creations. creations. And if Russ and her colleagues get their way, it won't be long until our mental picture of what a robot looks like changes for good. Final quote, this is a first to our knowledge in creating a robot hand that can do such useful work, says Russ, the team leader for this. Wow. I love it. Don't you, Ben? I mean, this is just such a great story.
You said medical uses for this, and I don't know why, but the first thing I thought of was, now robots can test for hernias. I don't know why, but
why not? I mean, yes. You're talking about soft tissue, the ability to come at an object from any direction instead of a traditional robot gripper hand approach, right? And delicacy, and you can throttle the amount of pressure, right? I mean, to me, I think the article did a great job, but I think missing out on the medical possibility, I think, is to me, it just immediately came to mind.
Robots, baby delivery. Yes.
Or baby handling, or handling, soft, delicate tissues in testing in lab situations, things like that, things that they couldn't do. Maybe robot hand of this type being used in forensics, in crime scene forensics, investigation, all kinds of possibilities, right?
There's definitely a lot of possibilities. Ralph, there's music playing in the background, very, very low, but everyone, we'll be right back. More Ralph Bond, more Computer America right after this, and the next story, we will talk about the first ever exascale computer. Everyone, we'll be right back.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here, and thank you for joining us on the other side of the break. And everyone, hey, we continue on with Ralph Bond. He is, of course, our science and tech trends correspondent. And everyone out there, if you would like to check out any part of today's show that you may have missed, a lot of fun stories so far. And hey, 3 stories in, we're doing good. Good timing, good pace. But everyone, wherever podcasts are heard, search Computer America, and today's show should pop right up. Now, with that being said, Ralph, thank you for continuing on. And yeah, we were just wrapping up story number 3, flexible robots, going to be more of a thing in the future. And now, hey, speaking of the future, 2021 looks like it's going to be pretty exciting too. So talk about story number 4.
Well, yeah. And part of what caught my eye about this story is I thought to myself once I discovered this story, why wasn't this more of a big, giant mass media, major network TV story? I don't remember seeing or hearing it on any of the outlets. Do you?
The world of supercomputers is so weird because I think 5 or 6 years ago, it seemed like a pretty cool arms race, and it was, year after year, it was China one year, America the next, and then America fell behind. I don't know if it was lack of investment or just the need for it, but China won like 5 or 6 years in a row, and I guess we just didn't kind of play it up because it wasn't that sense of, it wasn't that sense of pride, at least here for, in the U.S. But hey, we're reinvesting, we're getting back into it, and I think we just got the fastest supercomputer back like a couple of months ago, and now we're all in. Hey, the way technology works. A few months ago is ancient compared to what you need to be doing in the next 2, 3, 4 years.
That's so true. So here's the story. This is from Popular Mechanics, a story by Avery Thompson. Salute to Popular Mechanics for promoting this. The headline is U.S. will get world's first exascale computer in 2021. You're going to learn why this is so important. So let's jump right into it. It says, for the past several years, the world's powers have been locked in a supercomputing arms race, to your point, Ben, one-upping one another with the biggest and faster achievements. Now, according to a new announcement from the Department of Energy on March 18, the world's fastest supercomputer is coming to the United States in 2021 and will be the first to break the so-called exascale barrier. So I'm not an expert in all of this, so I had to get a lot of education just to get into the story. Supercomputers measure their performance in flops or calculations per second. A computer that has 10 flops can make 10 calculations a second, which is pretty abysmal for a modern computer, of course. Your laptop or desktop is likely capable of several teraflops or trillions of calculations per second. It is mind-boggling when you think about it, right? And then my own little green text, if you have the show notes, this is my little note for myself and others that may not be totally up on this. In computing, flops is an acronym for floating point operation per second. Is a measure of computer performance useful in the fields of scientific calculations that make heavy use of floating point calculations, right? So that's a little definition for you there. Going back to the story, the top performing supercomputer in the world, to your point, Ben, a moment ago, right now is the Summit computer at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. That computer reaches 150 petaflops, several thousand times as much processing power as the typical laptop. Several other top supercomputers reach a few dozen petaflops as well. Now, green note here in my show notes for my benefit and others, petaflop is a unit of computing speed equal to 1,000 million or 10 to the 15th power floating point operations per second, which is just, I can't even get my brain around that. It's too much.
These are certainly huge numbers that I think after a certain point you just kind of say, oh yeah, sure, thousands of millions, or whatever. It's not really English to you, but let's just say very, very fast, very fast.
Oh yes, it's just mind-boggling. Going on to the article, but the big target in supercomputer construction right now is building the first exascale computer capable of a quintillion calculations per second. What? Such a computer would be 1,000,000 times faster than a typical desktop and could dramatically advance scientific and artificial intelligence research. Another green note in my notes for me and for you, if you need it. Quintillion, 1,000 raised to the power of 6 or 10 to the 18th. What?
That's crazy.
God. Unbelievable. And then finishing up the story here, according to an announcement from the Department of Energy, the first exascale computer is finally coming thanks to a $500 million from the Department of Energy. A 1 exaflop computer named Aurora will be built at Argonne, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, National Laboratory, pardon me. The computer will be built using architecture and technology from, Intel. That's cool. And it ends here with a quote from the Secretary of Energy, Rick Perry, at this point here. It says, Aurora and the next generation of exascale supercomputers will apply high-performance computing and AI technologies to areas such as cancer research, climate modeling, and veterans' health treatments. That's interesting, said Secretary of Energy Rick Perry in a press release. is final quote here, the innovative advancements that will be made with exascale will have an incredibly significant impact on our society. Certainly, I would expect so, especially things like climate and meteorology could be really interesting in this kind of capability.
Well, and really, it's if you wonder why are they spending 500, because that $500 million grant from the Department of Energy, that means, hey, you, I, Ralph, everyone else, we paid for this. We paid for this with our tax dollars. And so if you're wondering why would we do this, what's the point other than some kind of measuring contest, let's just say that. Why bother? And really, when you think about, Ralph, more to the specific case of weather, imagine if you knew exactly where a hurricane was going to make land, where you could send aid, where you could send supplies, where you could get people out of harm's way, where businesses could close down in the proper amount of time. If let's just say one hurricane, and I recall hurricanes from Florida that that hit either New York or Florida or New Orleans, causing tens of billions of dollars worth of damage. If you could get a much faster response and much better and accurate response to that, hey, this thing pays for itself right there. Thanks to the weather modeling of hurricanes and things like that. And then, of course, everything else that goes along with it, and the fact that, you get to run all these other experiments. It's not just who has the best toys, but this has real economic impact as well as, scientific research as well. So,
and to your point, $500 million, if you look at the national budget and national debt, $500 million is nothing. Nothing. What a bargain to get this kind of capability, I think.
Yeah, and at the same time, I still find it very cool that obviously Intel is the one providing, like the same company that you buy with your laptop and your computer. They're also the same ones who build the technology to go into this as well. So
salute to them.
Yeah, you're getting the same stuff that's going to be inside this. It's just hey, it's $500 million worth of processors instead of your $400 processor. So it's no, you're right. Huge story. I think the reason it didn't get as much praise was because it's 2021. It's under construction. It's not completed yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing this completed and see what's going to happen. So okay. Now story number 5. Yep, there we go. And I won't lie. You got interesting pictures here. You have old computers here. What is this whole story? Because normally high tech, that's what you specialize in. This seems to go the other way. What is this?
Well, I just couldn't resist it, right? And it does fit the spirit of my appearances as correspondent for upbeat and fun and interesting. Okay, so this is not futuristic. This is actually looking back, but looking back at when things were incredibly innovative. This comes from a publication called Pocket Lint, which is hilarious. Pocket Lint's out of the UK, a story by Adrian Willings. Headline is Surprising Facts About Tech, Gadgets, and the Wonderful World Wide Web. Now, I just extracted a couple of things from this article that I thought were fun and wanted to share quickly, but I encourage people, get the show notes, follow the links, go and see the whole article because it's charming. It's a lot of fun. But a couple of things that really caught my eye. The first one is, we'll jump into the story here and set the stage. So here we go. It says, the world is a wonderful place, and in our mind, it's made even better by technology, gadgetry, and modern marvels that surround us. To celebrate all of this wonder, we've put together some interesting facts about tech, gadgets, and the history of the web that you might not know. You might be surprised and amused by what we've found. So British. You might be surprised and amused by what we've found. The first photo published or posted on the World Wide Web, the first photo, and you can see this if you have the show notes, these gals, and we'll explain who they are. Les horribles. I guess in French you don't have the H sound, so it's les horribles cernettes, referencing the CERN, right? So we'll get into this here. So this is the first photo ever posted on the World Wide Web, and it's over 20 years old. The image comes from CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, and the same organization that famously discovered the Higgs boson particle.
Boson. Yeah.
Boson. Thank you.
Yeah, the Higgs boson particle, the God particle, made huge news. And actually, I was going to bring that up after the last article. We haven't mentioned on the show here, but everyone else did, the first image of the black hole, and and how cool that was. But
yes.
But yeah, but yeah, the Higgs boson, huge scientific thing. So please go ahead.
And of course, the CERN is this epic, incredible organization for research, as everybody knows. Mm-hmm. So it goes on to say they're talking about the photo now in question. It shows an all-girl comedy band that was created from secretaries and partners of the CERN scientists. So these were women that were working at the CERN.
Right.
This image was posted online as a promotional piece and features some fairly shocking photoshopping, but marks a fantastic piece of history. The shocking photoshopping, I think, is a little harsh comment. It's just the way they cut out the image and put the blue background. You can see if you look carefully how a little jaggy it is. But so what? I mean, come on.
The lady in red. What's up with that hand? Is that her gloved hand?
It is a gloved hand.
Yeah, it's kind of like reaching out.
They're all
forward.
wearing gloves. Look carefully. You know what they look like? They look like a Temptations era.
Yes.
Not Temptations. Oh my gosh, the Supremes. Sort of that
there we go.
look, right?
Yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. It's just funny that was the first photo, because I guess up until this point, CERN obviously, was using the internet to deliver information from one scientist to another. They had this whole World Wide Web connected, and you think that at that point, everything that was shared was probably text and data sheets and Excel sheets and things like that. Just right. data. And it's kind of funny that the first photo that was, I guess, relevant to the internet was this one. I do find that funny.
It is. It's comical. I mean, it shows that these men and women, these researchers, had good sense of humor. Mm-hmm. The next one is fun. And that is, in the article, it says, this is the computer that was used to create the web, actually to create the first World Wide Web server. So there's a great picture here. Check that out. And then it says, Sir Timothy John Berners-Lee, I hope I'm saying that name right, Sir Timothy John Berners-Lee, is the man famously credited for creating the World Wide Web in the late 1980s. It was this machine, a Next computer. Remember I'm going brain dead.
I don't know anything from the 80s because, unfortunately, I did not exist until the 90s. So I will be no help here.
Well, you know what? I'm having a complete brain fart here for a moment. The fella who founded, along with Wozniak.
Steve Jobs.
Apple. Thank you, Steve Jobs. Good Lord. That's it. Put this guy out to retirement right now. Anyway, Steve Jobs, the Next computer. Remember, he started his own company, and that was his baby, the Next computer, and didn't succeed, and it went away and so forth. But it was that computer that was used as the world's first web server. He also used it while working at CERN to code the world's first web browser known as World Wide Web in 1990. My gosh, 1990. Now, maybe for you that's a long time ago, Ben, but for me, it's just stunning. I came to Oregon with Intel in 1993. So it's just a few years after that. Anyway, I digress. And my little note here in green, please go out and see this article. There's many more fun things to see, but I just cherry-picked a couple of things that I thought were particularly fun.
Seems like a very fun article. And these will be, kind of little tidbits and, factoids that it's the beginning of the internet. It's the beginning of the thing that changed the world. And I can't think of many things that changed the world as
profound.
Much. Yeah. As much as the internet, like maybe things like plastic and things like that, but there's not many things that changed it as much as the internet. So
I remember we had a researcher at Intel, because I was with Intel, as you know, for about almost 14 years, and he said he used to give speeches, and he was one of the people in the Intel architecture labs, sort of like the Bell Labs of Intel, and he used to say, and this was when this was all new. Because remember, I was there in 93, so it's just a few years into the very inklings of this stuff happening. Yeah. And he said, this is going to be as important to human history as the invention of the printing press. And people somewhat scoffed a little bit, but boy, I think that's been borne out to be completely true.
more so. Just more so from the amount of people and the amount of connectivity that you can have. It's going to be something very, very special. And I think even I don't know, great point, great article. Definitely check that one out. We have like 10 minutes left. Story number 6. We're doing our best here, folks. So story number 6. All right, so this kind of, we talked about robotics earlier. You mentioned that there will be more robotics in the future. Story number 6. Okay, tossing bot. What is this?
Yeah, well, one of the, if you think about the problems in robotics, is being able to accurately, in this case, toss an object to a target, right? It's one thing to pick something up, and we talked about the other story of the MIT development for soft and delicate items, but this deals with a different challenge. So you can just imagine taking the results of this research combined with the soft pickup thing, and you could have something pretty amazing coming down the road. But here's the deal. This is from Tech Explorer, TECHXPLORE. Check this out, cool website. A story by Bob Yirka, YIRKA. The headline: Tossing bot can grab objects, and toss them in specified bins. So that's the challenge. Tossing bot can grab objects and toss them in specified bins. So particular, articulate targets, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some great illustrations here. There's a video you can check out, but let me get into the story with the time we have left. A group at, this is going to be a dream team. Get ready for a dream team. Here it comes. A group at Google, with assistance from teams at Columbia and Princeton universities and MIT. Wow.
Do they have anyone? Do they have anyone with a brain working on this thing? Sarcasm.
Google, Columbia, Princeton, and MIT.
Right.
Okay, there's a dream team. Has developed a robot that is able to grab a single object from among other objects in a box and toss it to a specified bin. In their paper uploaded to ARXIV, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, ARXIV, there's a link, preprint server, the team describes the challenges of the work and how well it turned out. The researchers start by pointing out just how hard it is to grab a random object and throw it with any precision. The randomness of the object chosen means that the thrower must make critical decisions before tossing, taking into account the weight and shape of the object. So if you start really thinking about this challenge, it's pretty profound.
And
the thrower.
I'm sorry for jumping in here, but the and they may say this in the article, and I may just be repeating what you're about to say. But the video that we're showing on the video portion, if you're checking that out, one of the ways that they kind of show this is like a screwdriver, where they can pick it up by the handle and they can throw the screwdriver, and it can be pretty predictable. But then if the robot grabs the screwdriver by the very tip or the very head of the screwdriver, suddenly the balance is all off wonk, and the robot throws it randomly. Something as simple as that, just where you grip it matters in throwing as much as what you throw.
Yeah, no, and I love that video, by the way. That's really good. Yeah. And if you're not able to see the video, folks, get the show notes, get to that link and check it out. So going on, it says the thrower, meaning the robot in this question, must then be able to convert the decisions into an action that will send the object in an arc from the tosser to the target. Wait a minute, now you've got to figure out the arc business, right? Mm-hmm. In this new effort, the team chose to take up the challenge of building a robot arm that does it as well as a human being. What? As well as a human being? The robot designed by the team looks very simple. It's a robot arm, much like those that build cars in factories. In action, the robot bends its arm down into a box full of objects, selects one, then tosses it into a box that has been divided into separate bins, hitting the bin it has chosen as the target. Oh my gosh, you think about, we as human beings with our brains and our coordination, everything, we don't intuitively do it. We don't have to think about it. But if you think about breaking it down into the mechanical steps and so forth, it's profound.
Yeah.
Goes on to say to build the robot, the team had to help it learn. First, by programming it to scan and make some sense of the objects it needed to toss. After that, it had to learn how to choose an object randomly and pick it up. Next, it had to use a deep learning network to learn how to toss each possible object, and then to use what it had learned to toss the object, learning more with each repetition. Machine learning, folks. There you go. Once the system was in place, the researchers programmed a loop and let the robot toss its objects into boxes 10,000 times without assistance. The programmers added some code to allow the robot to empty the bin box back into its own box when it had tossed all of its objects.
That's cool. And if you're wondering why you do that, it's so that hey, it can continue to learn without anyone actually having to monitor it. It can refill its own bin box and do it all over again and keep learning.
I know. It's great.
Automation, yeah.
And the video is wonderful right now. At this point, it's showing it highlights the bin and the target bin and how the robot's doing its thing. Gosh,
85% accuracy after 14 hours. That's really good.
Yes, that's right. 85 or 87% accurate in grabbing the object to toss, and 85% accurate in throwing it. As comparison, this is the killer part. Love this. As a comparison, the team tried tossing the objects themselves and found they were less accurate than their robot. Ding!
How good is it compared to people? Right.
And there's a great video here with a young researcher. Check that out. That's really charming too. It's really cool. And fun story.
Yeah, no, for sure. And actually, we're going to show a quick little GIF here of something else. Where Ralph, I'm not sure if you've ever seen this. For everyone else who's just listening, this is an apple sorting machine. If you wonder about the speed at which something like this can happen, like that's it in full motion, and then it slows down into slow motion, and it's color sorting. So it knocks away any green apples, or I'm sorry, green tomatoes instead of the red tomatoes, and you can see how quickly it goes. If you could do something with a throwing robot at that kind of speed, this thing would be incredible compared to a person.
That's fascinating. That really is very cool.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's just techniques and perfecting the technology. It's going to get a lot better. So great article. Definitely love that one. And let's go ahead. We have time for one more story. And if you have a preference, if you don't, story number 7.
Yeah, I think 7's a good one, and we can blast through it pretty quick here.
Sure.
And before we finish, I just want to put in a plug for something that has nothing to do with technology real fast. Go out and check out a website called John's Crazy Socks, like socks you put on your feet. John's Crazy Socks. A father and son team. The son has Down syndrome. The father, they came together, formed this company. I just learned about it. We have a dear family friend who has a Down syndrome daughter. Got turned on to this. Please check it out, everybody. It's a lovely story, a great cause, and they employ special needs people in their little company. So check it out.
I have seen this story. It was actually on the news. I think this made national news as well.
I think it did. Yeah.
Where he was known for his crazy socks, and he liked designing socks, and here we are. Very
I
cool.
love it. So check that out. But getting back to the story here, this is from CBS News in Chicago. Scientists researching brain chips to make people super intelligent. Please sign me up. I need all the help I can get. It says here, what if you could make money or type something just by thinking about it? It sounds like science fiction, but it might be close to reality. In as little as 5 years, super smart people could be walking down the street, men and women who've paid to increase their intelligence. Sounds like people paying to get into USC or something. Northwestern University neuroscientist and business professor Dr. Morin Cerf, I think that's how you pronounce his name, CERF, made that prediction because he's working on a smart chip for the brain. Here's a quote. Make it so that it has an internet connection and goes to Wikipedia. And when I think this particular thought, it gives me the answer, he said. Of course, that's presuming Wikipedia is all perfect and no fallacious information. But nonetheless, Cerf is collaborating with Silicon Valley bigwigs he'd rather not name. Facebook has also been working on building a brain-computer interface, and SpaceX and Tesla CEO Elon Musk is backing a brain-computer interface called Neuralink. Quote, everyone is spending a lot of time right now trying to find ways to get things into the brain without drilling a hole in your skull, Cerf said. Can you eat something that will actually get to your brain? Can you eat things in parts that will assemble inside your head? Boy, this really sounds like sci-fi, but it's intriguing. It sounds mind-blowing. Relationships might be on the line. Quote, this is no longer a science problem. This is a social problem, Cerf said. I think that's an interesting comment. Cerf worries about creating intelligence gaps, in society, on top of existing gender, racial, and financial inequalities. Quote, they can make money just by thinking about the right investments, and we cannot. So they're going to get richer. They're going to be healthier. They're going to get to live longer, he said. The average IQ of an intelligent monkey is about 70. I can relate to that. The average human IQ is around 100, and a genius IQ is generally considered to be around 140. People with a smart chip in the brain could have an IQ of around 200, so would they, even want to interact with the average person? Another quote. Are they going to say, look at this cute human, Stephen Hawking. He can do differential equations in his mind just like a little baby with 160 IQ points. Isn't it amazing? So cute. Now let's put him back in his cage and give it bananas, Surf said. It's a little disrespectful of Stephen, but I get the point.
Yeah.
Time will tell. Or will our minds approximately this blew my mind. This last line in the article. Approximately 40,000 people in the United States already have smart chips in their heads, but those brain implants are only approved for medical use for now. That was interesting to me. So fun story.
Yeah, the chip that I know about, and one in particular, is used for people with tremors or seizures or things like that. They have a chip that they can actually turn on, and that will actually dampen the electrical activity in the brain, so it kind of stops seizures from happening. Like they have to think,
wonderful.
They have to kind of think a bit harder to move. Let's say their hand, but their hand isn't completely just unresponsive. So that's what they meant by the smart chips. It's not 40,000 people are already super intelligent, but and this is weird because of his majors, and there's music, and we're gonna wrap up the show here. But his major, he's a business professor as well. So I see where he's coming at it, where talking about the money part of it. But Ralph, music in the background. What can people do? Where can they go? Full show notes. Anything you'd like to say before we say goodbye?
Well, sure. Once again, for everything about me, just point your browser to Ralph Bond and Wix, W-I-X. That'll take you right to my website. If you have the show notes, I've got that embedded. And also in the show notes, I have links to my Facebook and to my Twitter postings as well. So great stuff. And once again, John's Crazy Socks, wonderful organization. Check these guys out.
We'll include John's Crazy Socks in the show notes with the show. So Ralph, I want to thank you so much. Everyone else out there, have a great weekend. Do something fun. And hey, maybe mow your lawn. Everyone, thank you so much. Have a great one. Bye. Bye, Ralph.